Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror thriller film, The Haunted Drum. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins in a quaint mountain village in Thailand. The people there live peacefully and honor the value of their tight-knit community in enriching their individual lives. However, the village chief is dying. With his last breath, he urges his young grandson to release a woman from her suffering. The little kid does not understand that time, but he takes the gold ring his grandfather gave him before he dies. Years later, the little kid has become a handsome nobleman called Ping. He is an aspiring musician who has had an affinity for traditional drums ever since he played one while growing up in the village. So he enrolls in a secluded music academy in the mountains, which is said to hold the pom mang, a mysterious drum surrounded by stories of myth and legend. The instrument is composed of several traditional drums arranged in a half moon. The outside of the instrument is held together by an ornate frame with several gemstones inlaid. The academy is headed by a reputed master, whose talent is widely regarded. It is said that the spirit of the pom mang protects those who serve it. This is why all students in the academy are taught to worship the pom mang. At the moment, the students are all gathered in the main hall clad in white. In the front of the hall is the pom mang itself, serving as the altar they will honor today. The master is facing the sacred drums. Ping kneels before him and wordlessly hands him his recommendation letter. The master reads it and learns that Ping comes from a family of musicians who had served in the palace, and he is very talented. Ping takes his place among the students in the hall. The master begins the vow that each student has to take to serve the pom mang. If anyone disrespects the academy or works to slander or break the band, they will die within 3 days and become a ghost. This is part of the magic of the pom mang, since the instrument also protects the master who wields it. The students glance around uneasily, and a few even walk out of the hall. Once they step out, the door closes behind them. Afterward, the master anoints Ping, and a beautiful dancer comes out and performs a traditional dance. Another beautiful woman, this time wearing a gold dress, comes out to dance too. She steals Ping's undivided attention, and a white flower falls from her hairdo. That night, the student creeps back into the main hall and steals some of the offerings on the altar. He also steals one of the gemstones on the pom mang. The next day, Ping has a private appointment with the master. He humbly asks him if he could study the illustrious pom mang, and the master agrees on the condition that Ping takes it slowly when learning the instrument. One of the women dancers arrives with Pai, another musician in the band. Karn, a student that has befriended Ping, assumes that she's the girl that entranced Ping, but she's actually the other dancer. The identity of the woman in the gold dress remains elusive. The academy's patron arrives and donates much-needed essentials for the students. He brings with him a deputy from the district, who has his own musical band as well. That night, while performing during a funeral, the student who stole earlier starts hallucinating. He sees skulls poking out of the percussion drums he is playing and an old lady menacingly grinning at him with blood flowing down her face. The student begins banging his head on his drums, gouging one of his eyes out in the process. Finally, his body cannot take it any longer, and he crumples to the floor. Days later, his body disappears. This is because the stealer student violated the oath, and now the curse has claimed him. Ping is walking around the forest around the academy when he sees an isolated cabin. He is warned by his classmate never to go there because the house is off limits. But Ping still ventures closer and discovers that the same beautiful woman he saw leaves here. But she is livid with him and banishes him out of her property. With the stealer student gone, the master chooses Pai to replace him as the main percussion drum player. However, the master is not satisfied with Pai's skill or patience, and he reprimands him. Ping later visits the woman's cottage again. The inside is very spacious and warm, and Ping approaches her while she's braiding several flowers. She introduces herself as Thip. She is still standoffish toward Ping, and she answers his questions reluctantly. Moments later, Thip takes Ping to the nearby river. She teaches him how to play the drums, using the water's gentle ebb and flow. But then Thip sees something in the distance, and she leaves Ping alone to practice. Pai and the dancer go to the market to do errands for the master. The dancer uses the money for the master's medicine to buy her own personal things. Pai disagrees with her action, but the dancer assures her boyfriend that no one will know. However, the deputy is stationed in a watchtower over the market and notices the two academy students. He orders his guards to take them to him. Later, the deputy welcomes Pai and the dancer to his luxurious lodgings. A servant brings forth a beautifully embroidered costume with matching jewelry. The dancer is immediately bowled over by its beauty. The deputy then pounces. He offers Pai and the dancer positions in his own band. But Pai is resolute that he will never betray the vow he made during the ceremony. He explains to the deputy just how special a master's pom mang is, but only worthy musicians can wield that instrument. The deputy bristles at Pai's insinuation that he isn't worthy enough to be the master of the pom mang. He urges the couple to think about their decision carefully. That night, the deputy is visited by a mysterious force. It howls at him, and the lights in the house turn dark. The deputy stabs the unseen force, and it painfully shrieks. That same night, Ping sees Thip walking toward him. She collapses in his arms. Ping hurriedly brings her to the forest and asks a passerby for directions to the doctor's place. To his horror, he realizes that the passerby is the Stealer student. He is followed by a crowd of ghosts, shouting for Ping's help. The next thing Ping knows, he wakes up in the forest, and Thip is now fine. She is guarded once again, and she orders him to leave her alone and go to bed. He thinks everything was just a dream, and doesn't notice that Thip is still wincing from the wound on her side. Meanwhile, the master is praying to the Pong Mang, and suddenly blood begins to drip down the instrument. The dancer is convincing Pai to leave the master's band and switch to the deputy's side. Pai is scared that if they break the vow, they will follow the Stealer student's fate. But the dancer argues that going to the well-off deputy's band will provide them with financial stability. The next morning, rehearsals are not going well, and the master shouts at the dancer. He orders her to leave the practice. She storms out and makes up her mind about leaving the band. She is hurriedly packing in her room when she sees a reflection of her face marred in the mirror. When Pai arrives in her room later, she is gone. In a trance, the dancer strips off her clothes and walks deep into the forest. An unseen force starts contorting her body into various dance positions, breaking her bones one by one until it finally snaps her chick neck. Ping continues to meet Thip, and they work on improving his skills. He asks her a question that has been bothering him for a while now about why no one else in the academy knows Thip. The secretive girl clams up and doesn't answer. To lighten the mood instead, Ping shows her how good he's gotten at playing the drums. Thip is delighted to see his progress and comments that it's a shame that Pai is the Pong Mang drummer when Ping is much better than him. Soon after, the academy's patron hears that the dancer has disappeared. He is disappointed that the master's band is now lacking members, so he punishes them by cutting her supplies in half. The deputy swoops in and offers the master an opportunity to merge their two bands. However, the master takes his vow to keep the band whole seriously, so he refuses the deputy's offer. Discord begins to brew between the members of the band. One student now wants to quit and join the deputy's band because he has a family to think about. Karn is angry at him and brands him as a coward. The two get into a fight, and Ping stops them. The master watches this all from a distance. As the days go by, Thip and Ping fall deeper in love. They spend as much time as they can in the forest where no one can see them. Meanwhile, the master is no closer to replacing the lost members of his band. He and the deputy meet with the patron, who proposes that the two bands go head-to-head for his patronage. If the master's band loses, they will be part of the deputy's band. The master's band begins to do intense rehearsal sessions. The master is stressed from the heavy pressure of the competition and is very critical of his band's performance. Pai asks the master for the chance to play the sacred Pong Mang during the contest, but the master is not confident in his skills, so he refuses. This causes discontent in Pai, and he mulls over the idea of leaving the band. That night, the master performs a ritual to honor the Pong Mang. He douses it with coconut milk while he chants. One of the students starts collapsing and convulsing. The master urges him to be strong and feeds him coconut milk. Ping goes to the hut where the student is now resting and sees a vision of Thip with her hands over his classmate's body. A second later, she disappears. He visits Thip and professes that even if the master's band is defeated, he will not go to the deputy's band. Thip is impressed by his dedication, and the two passionately consummate their love that night. The day of the competition arrives. The master's band starts out strong, but Pai begins to play discordantly. The patron is enraged by the poor quality of the performance, and the master's band loses. Pai then surprises everyone by switching to the deputy's band. Others follow him as well. Only Karn and Ping remain. Karn starts another fight with the defectors, and this causes the master to weaken and almost fall. However, things go to a standstill when a haunting shriek pierces the air, and the atmosphere darkens. But fortunately, the deputy's shaman banishes this unseen force from the room. That night, the shaman comments that the spirit of the Pong Mang guarding the master is very strong. Ping and Thip have another rendezvous. She is much more open now and tells him about her stepfather, whom she loves very much. Ping promises her that when he becomes her husband and father of her children, he will be devoted to their family. Ping has a dream of Thip lying unconscious on the floor and a man cutting a lock of her hair. One day, the deputy storms inside the academy with his band. He demands to take every instrument, including the Pong Mang. However, the master calls into question the band's worthiness in playing such a sacred instrument, and so they come up with a new competition. This time, if the master's band fails, the deputy will take the Pong Mang. The two bands play simultaneously, with Ping and Pai facing off on the Pong Mang. At first, the two bands' performances are evenly matched, but it becomes apparent that Ping is the superior drum player to Pai. Pai is in disbelief, since he has years of experience over Ping. But the truth is clear to everyone: the master's band has won. Suddenly, the spirit of the Pong Mang clutches one of the master's former students. It rips his throat out. Everyone is frozen in horror, but the deputy springs into action and orders his guards to seize the Po Mang. Ping tries to fight them off, but the guards are not shy in using force, and they kick even the master. In the end, they have no choice but to watch as the sacred instrument is taken from the academy. That night, Karn runs away. He has seen that the master only cares about the Po Mang, and he regrets spending years of his life being loyal to him. The master commends Ping for his bravery and tells him that he wants Ping to inherit the band when he dies. The master also explains that Ping's ancestor created the band with the master's father. He gives Ping a pile of letters and points him toward the family cemetery behind the house. He urges Ping to fulfill his destiny. Apparently, this destiny is the one that Ping has been dreaming about. The last words that his grandfather had uttered were about a girl that Ping has to free from her suffering. The master also adds that Ping has to take care of Karn too. Karn overhears this and realizes that the master does care about him. He crawls inside the room, penitent for his transgressions. The master hands him money so he can pay off his family's farm debts. Meanwhile, the former students are starting to get cold feet about their decision to switch to the deputy's band. Pai sneaks into the deputy's collection and secretly plays the sacred Po Mang. But the drums do not produce beautiful sounds like they did when Ping was playing them. Pai angrily slams on the drums. The spirit retaliates by clawing at his chest and breaking Pai's bones with the drums. With a sickening crunch, one drum lands a final blow on his head. Thip visits the master. He remarks that it's been a long time since he had seen her. He regrets that she has suffered all these years because she was loyal to their father and says that he wants her to be free. The deputy arrives at his house and discovers that his band players have died mysterious and horrific deaths. He instructs his guards to burn everything down. Ping explores the family crypt inside the forest. Inside is the Po Mang. The deputy and his shaman follow Ping there, and the deputy attempts to steal the instrument again. Suddenly, the spirit of the instrument reveals itself. It's the ghastly version of Thip. It turns out she has been the spirit guarding the drums all along. She yanks the shaman's head back and rips his scalp off. The deputy then stabs the drums to weaken Thip. She turns to kill the deputy next, but Ping begs her not to wreak havoc. Her love for Ping causes her to revert to her old self. Right then, other spirits of the band players appear and drag the deputy to the afterlife. It is revealed that out of devotion to her stepfather, Thip voluntarily offered her skin to be used in the making of the drums. So her stepfather and Ping's grandfather killed her and skinned her and created the sacred Po Mang. Ever since then, her spirit has been guarding whoever is the master of the instrument. It is now Ping's destiny to free her. He reads the letters given to him by the master and reads the incantation to finally release Thip's spirit. The years pass, and Ping inherits the band and rebuilds the academy. The movie ends with Ping finally dying after seeing a vision of Thip during a dance by his students, indicating that they'll soon restore their hormoneship in the afterlife. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.